When Mav at 7, the vibe feels right. Type media where truth ignites the spark. Yeah, we light up the dark. Best space on X. Oh, yeah, the best space on X. 11 on X tonight. With Mav at 7, the stars align. Type media, the fire never rests. We're the best of the best of the best of the best space on X. The best space on X. I can feel the signal rising. 7 p.m. across the wire.
All right,
Every
everybody,
word
welcome to
cuts
another
through the
episode of
silence.
Tailspin.
Truth burns
Now,
like
Legendary
fire. You can hear the crowding closer. When the shadows start to fade, there's no spin, no silver soldier. Just the echo of what's real today. And I've been waiting for
We're now
this
Legendary. I
song.
want to welcome my co-host, Guy. What's going on there, Guy?
Yo, what's up, Matt? Yo, I'm excited for this one right here. Maybe another story, maybe another tale that I can use to help me educate my kids.
I know how you like to frighten them so they obey you. All right, we got Legendary Cryptid up here. We got Groove. Anyone else down below, if you have any questions you want to know about cryptids, I'm thinking with the title tonight is UFO activity and cryptid sightings. Is there a connection between the two? We do have one of the most leading experts, I believe, as far as cryptids up on stage. I see a few people in the UFO community down below. If you like, grab a mic, come up top. Let's just have a conversation, have some fun with this one. Welcome, Legendary. How are you? We can't hear you, Legendary, if you're trying to speak.
Can you hear me right now?
Now I can hear you.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm doing good.
Great. Glad to have you back. I think it's the third time we've had you on the space. The last 2 times were very informative. I think your knowledge on cryptids is incredible. So I'll just start with a quick introduction now that we got all the technical issues out of the way. So tonight's one of those conversations where you don't need to believe, you just need to listen, because across the world, different people, different places, the stories start to sound the same. Things in the woods, things watching back, things we don't have names for. And then the question is just, are cryptids real? Why are so many people seeing the same thing? And why are they seeing them now? So tonight we're joined with Legendary Cryptid. One of our, I think, man, besides you and Dr. Brandenburg, most repeat guest, but love having you back. Someone that steps into the field, collects the stories, and tracks patterns. So whether you're a believer, a skeptic, or just curious, you're in the right place tonight. And I noticed Legendary, I don't know if this is true or not, did they just debunk Bigfoot temporarily?
So, if you haven't heard, recently a documentary premiered at South by Southwest Film Festival. It's called Capturing Bigfoot. And the big news is that they found a short film reel, possibly dated from before the Patterson-Gimlin film was taken, that big famous video of Bigfoot, that shows the two men involved in that film making a sort of test reel with a Bigfoot costume that looks exactly like the one that appears in the Patterson-Gimlin film. So that alone has been enough for a lot of people to say the Patterson-Gimlin film has been completely debunked. But what's even worse is they actually got into contact with Roger Patterson's son and widow, and Roger Patterson's wife says that the whole thing was a fake. She knew about it the whole time. She just wanted to continue collecting money from like showings of the film online and things like that. So yeah, it's been a pretty crazy lot of arguments, but the film is still seeking a like wide release date. However, a lot of people have seen it and confirmed what it shows.
Man, that is insane. So right as they're starting to release information about UAPs and aliens, they go ahead and they like debunk Bigfoot. Can't make this stuff up. Can't we just have some type of consistency here?
I wouldn't say it's completely debunked, though. It's obviously a pretty huge blow. Uh, but yeah, it is not good. I actually have seen a lot of speculation that this the whole documentary is like a government op to get people out of Bigfoot because there's the secret UFO connections and all that. Or they just don't want you to be talking about it.
Well, what's your feeling on that? Do you think there is a connection?
Personally, I don't. I think even you go back in history, there's obviously a lot of things that have been interpreted as alien sightings, reports of weird sky things in the sky in like 500 AD, stuff like that, old artwork, things like that. But the whole Bigfoot UFO connection is a pretty recent thing, and it's not really backed up by a lot of sightings themselves. So I think I'm pretty confident in saying that Bigfoot is not connected to UFOs, should they exist, or should either exist.
Oh man, bummer. I know there was some thought that they could be connected or some type of phenomena would connect the two, especially with those that gone missing. I guess that documentary 411 and people missing in out west. Um, Interesting guy. Give you the first question for our crypto expert. I mean, cryptid expert.
Yo, Mav, I'm here too. My bad. I just wanted to check in.
You want to go?
You can shoot me the question, Mr. Mav. I love the cryptids.
Same question.
Can you repeat the question?
Do you have a question for legendary cryptid on a cryptid?
Oh no, I thought you were gonna ask me a question.
Why would
But
I ask the question?
I don't know. I thought you might have wanted to ask me something. But
Oh my.
speaking on Bigfoot, I was thinking about something with Bigfoot involved. So that post that you made of that picture, so the guy came forward and basically said that it's completely fake and it's a test suit, right? So does that mean all videos of that nature are being considered fake now, or people are still trying to debunk the rest of the videos?
Yeah, people are still. It's actually funny. Like right after that documentary came out, people were like, "Well, I guess what's the second most plausible Bigfoot video?" Or what's next? People discussing like skunk ape photos, things of that nature. But yeah, it's not good times in the Bigfoot community. I've been looking online, especially on like Facebook pages, a lot of people arguing, things like that.
Yeah, that video, because I remember that was like the number one video. You would search up Bigfoot, that would come up. You would ask people, they would have seen this video. So it kind of stumps the whole Bigfoot community in a huge way, almost.
Yeah, it's weird. It wasn't the first piece. How do I word this? I don't think it was the first piece chronologically of, Bigfoot evidence. I think there were a couple photographs, maybe even a video taken before it, but it was the first one to like really, break out and become popular all over the world. And I don't think really any other Bigfoot evidence has gotten close to that.
True. Yeah, and well, now it's just it's so hard for me because now every video I look at, I already assumed that people were in Bigfoot costumes, and now even more than ever, I'm gonna assume every single video is a Bigfoot costume, unless there's some video or picture that's up close in detail where you can actually examine the eyes around the mask and see if the eyes are placed against the skin, like certain little details where you would be able to say, okay, that's 100% a suit. Okay, that's 100% not a suit in a certain way.
Yeah, yeah, I know at least one Bigfoot, I wouldn't say investigator, but enthusiast was looking at Bigfoot, like the Patterson Gimlin film recently, and he thought it's crazy how every time I look at it since that, it looks more and more like a suit. I think when you dispel some of the legend around Bigfoot, especially around the Patterson Gimlin film, people start to look at it a different way.
100%, 100%. Anybody else have any questions right now, or
I don't know if Guy did. I called on Guy. I don't know if he's having technical issues or not.
yeah, he might have been.
But
Apple, go ahead.
Oh shoot, I'm getting a call right now. I'll be right back, guys.
You're good.
That's funny.
So Mav, what do you think of Bigfoot?
I don't know. I know if you guys remember back, I'm gonna have to look it up now. Who it was. I had to guess. I think he was from Rutgers. Give me a second, I'll pull it up. Um, he spent a lot of. He wrote several books, research books on Bigfoot. Let me see if I can pull him up here. Dr. Brian Regal. He is a historian of science and technology at Keene University. I had him on back in October, and he said he went out and went to all these witnesses, and then wrote about Bigfoot legendary. And he said he could not find any evidence to confirm any of the stories. Spent years, even out in the woods looking for it and couldn't find anything. I don't know if you're familiar with him, Dr. Brian Regal.
Yeah, he's got a whole book on the subject, Searching for Sasquatch.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe I've read that one. Yeah, I have to say, personally, I live in not like a super Bigfoot hotspot, but like a Midwestern area that has quite a few Bigfoot sightings. Not quite like Pacific Northwest, but an area with quite a few Bigfoot sightings. And we only know one person who's ever had a Bigfoot sighting. Everybody else, people who've, worked in the woods their whole lives, cutting trees, like land surveying, things like that, no Bigfoot sightings. And I've also gone camping quite a bit, and I still cannot say that I've ever seen Bigfoot or anything like that.
Yeah, and if you've been back in the deep woods like I've had at night, I used to go hunt at night. Um, it gets a little creepy, for sure. And there's a lot of animals that are out at night that aren't you don't see normally during the day. You hear a lot of all kinds of noises you don't normally hear. Um, so I could see how people can freak out. What
I
Go ahead.
I was going to say the one weird thing I think I've seen is I was a Boy Scout back in the day, and we were at one of like the huge Boy Scout camp properties. We were gone on a hiking trip there, and I'm walking around, and we find this perfectly laid out square of small animal bones, just like in the middle of the forest, or like kind of on the edge of the forest and a big farm field. So that was pretty weird, but I assume it was, some other bored kid making it or something like that.
Yeah, that would still kind of freak me out if I found that. Well, ask you a question. Maybe we could jump to a different subject. What's one of the encounter stories that you've researched that still kind of bothers you?
I think for stories that bother me, it has to be something that's kind of just on the edge of being plausible. For example, something where the people who see it are pretty trustworthy, but on the other hand, it's, almost an impossible animal. And I think the one that would have to be the most bizarre is the Deep Star 4000 fish sighting. Basically, this one was off of the coast of California in like the 1960s. They were taking a kind of early submarine down like 4,000 feet because it was named the Deep Star 4000 was the submarine they were on due to how deep it could go. Anyway, there's a few men on board. One of them was a marine biologist, and I think the other was a deep sea photographer, like animal wildlife photographer, and the third was like a pilot or a mechanic. Now, while they're down there, and it's very dark when you're down there, they have some lights kind of on the exterior of the ship, but it is not very well illuminated because you're 4,000 feet deep. Someone's looking out the side window when he sees this giant eye the size of a dinner plate. And then a fish basically envelops his entire window and slowly swims past the ship for several seconds. He said it had scales the size of a coffee cup, and that the whole thing was maybe like 30 to 40 feet in length. So after that, nobody's ever seen anything that size again. But this would be by far like the biggest like scaled fish ever. If you look up like lists of largest fish for any fish that kind of matches that description, it's maybe a third of the size or a fourth of the size at most. It's by far the biggest, strangest animal that was seen by multiple people down there I've ever heard of. But it's also so big based on their size estimate that I just don't know, if I can buy the story, if I can comprehend that there's a fish 4 to 5 times bigger than any other fish of its type out there.
Wow. Now, and that was what year did you say that was?
66, yeah, 1966.
And no other sighting since?
No, yeah, there've been no other sightings since. I don't even believe that there are. When it comes to like giant fish, they're usually seen in like rivers or lakes. I don't think there's been a giant fish sighting of that type in the ocean again.
Yeah. You said the scales were about the size of a coffee cup?
Yeah, he said the eye was about the size of a dinner plate. A scale was about the size of like a coffee cup, like round. And that he obviously didn't get a look at the whole animal because it was right next to the ship and way bigger than the entire ship. But he estimated based on, what he could kind of see relative to the ship, how long or how long it took the fish to pass the ship and how kind of big it seemed in comparison, that it was about 30 to 40 feet in length.
Wow, there's definitely a lot of weird fish. I know, like even down like in the Florida, you catch a lot. I mean, there's a lot of big fish down there, weird fish. Even like I think the tarpon, the scale on the tarpon is about the size of a $half, which is pretty big. And hard, almost like if you harpooned them, like it wouldn't do anything to the fish. Very solid and thick and large. I could imagine the size of a coffee cup. I mean, that would have to be very hard to penetrate that thing.
Actually, this speaking of like the Keys, Gulf of Mexico area, in the 1980s, one of the men who saw that Deep Star 4000 fish claimed to have seen a grenadier fish or a rat tail that was also like huge relative to normal fish. Like I think he said it was about 10 feet in length, and that was on a regular dive where he was just diving with like equipment, not in a submarine or anything like that.
Interesting. What do you think? Would you consider people who talk about alien sightings? Would you consider that a cryptid?
I don't consider aliens cryptids because they're more, at least right now, I would say. Uh, Aliens are more of a. Well, think about it this way: any alien or any alien life is going to be completely disconnected to, life on our planet, if that makes sense. So even if we did find something, out in space, or we find a different planet, it's not really connected with the animal kingdom here on Earth. So I think it's a little bit different in that sense.
Go ahead, KR.
Just a couple of different topics there. Like, what about like spanpermia? Where meteorites land in the ocean, and thus the bacteria, forms like they say that octopuses and squids, or maybe just octopuses, are not of this world. So it could have been a giant squid or a giant octopus, perhaps. And since it was in the 1960s, their capabilities of analyzing the fish just through a window weren't sufficient to really get a good, accurate description.
Yeah, panspermia, if anyone's not familiar, is this pretty interesting theory that like life was brought to Earth not by, random biology making small cells on Earth and then life evolving from there, but that asteroids or comets or things actually brought like a life to Earth, and then the asteroids landed and little cells came out of it, and that's how life evolved. And that's also a pretty neat theory. I would say that, at least from what I've studied, I'm not a zoologist or anything. Most life seems like it makes sense on Earth. It seems like it's well adapted, but it would be cool to find like evidence that, say hundreds of years from now, we find another planet, we figure out that squids there are the same thing as squids here. As for the Deep Star 4000 fish, I think one of the things that makes it unique is that he described its scales on it. Because if there weren't scales, and he specifically said that he could, make out the scales, even if he didn't really see the whole fish. If there weren't scales, what he saw could have been maybe, like a giant shark or something that could match the size a little bit better than a scaled fish or a squid. But he was pretty insistent on there being scales in what he saw. Because I think there was a theory going around at the time that, they just saw, a shark and misidentified the size a little bit. but with the scales thrown in, it's kind of tough to figure out what the hell he saw.
Thanks for that question, KR. KR, have you ever witnessed any type of cryptid, chupacabra, Bigfoot, anything like that?
Well, I did spend. I had to do a 4-day solo in the woods in Washington State Park when I was about 14 years old, when I was in reform school. But it was raining the whole time, so I just stayed underneath my tarp. I didn't hear anything. But that me and this guy escaped from reform school and hiked over a mountain, and we ran into a deer carcass, and thus a bear was tracking us. But no, not in regards to any Yeti or anything like that. But I will come on make a formal statement that about 2 years ago I was sober as a judge out here on my patio, and I did see a whatever you want to call it nowadays, a UFO stationary in the sky, maybe 2 miles, 3 miles out, and it was a light, and I was looking at it, and then all of a sudden it shot off to the west, going, Mach something. So that's really all I have to report in regards to that.
There was
I gotta tell a story. Something I saw today. I'm driving behind this pickup truck, kind of a weird story, and I see that there's this deer hanging kind of out of the side of his bed, and I'm thinking, well, that's weird. It's not even close to hunting season, and this guy just drove past a cop with a poached deer or maybe a roadkill deer in the back. That's kind of odd. And the way it was like the back half of the deer. It was kind of a smaller deer. Was on the side of his truck with like the front half missing. So I'm driving a little bit further, and then finally the deer gets up, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? But then I see it was just some guy's really big dog, and I just couldn't tell from the angle I had on it.
Oh, that's funny. I can tell you, it happened to me when I think I was like 18 or 19, and I would deer hunt all the time. My friends and I would go, and if there was a fresh roadkill, we would take it. As long as you prepared to eat right, it was still good. So we seen a deer get hit by a car. It's dead. I have a pickup truck, so me and my buddy throw in the back of the truck. We take it home. Still in the back. We go inside to get the knives, the rope and everything, so we can hang it up. I come back out. It's standing up in the back of my truck. It wasn't dead. It just knocked out. And I'm like, oh my God. It didn't know what to do. It was just standing there and still kind of like sidestepping side to side, I guess, because it had a really good concussion. Um, I thought it was going to trash my truck, break the windows in the back, windows out. Oh man. Yeah, that's funny with deer. You never know if they're dead
Yeah,
or not.
they're pretty tough animals.
They are freaking.
I had a deer. I was driving home. I had my son with me in my pickup, and a doe ran. I was going like 65, and it jumped up and ran into the side of my truck, like started at the front and like rolled all the way down the side of my. So every panel on the right hand side of my truck was smashed out, and I called the cops and got a rescue or a salvage tag or whatever, and I took it home, and skinned it out, and it was pregnant. It had it had a fawn inside of it.
Yeah.
So that was weird.
The only thing I could imagine was that movie Tommy Boy, when they put the deer in the back of the car and they thought it was dead, and then while they're driving, it wakes up. Yeah, that was what was flashing through my mind when it stood in the back of my truck. Oh no, it's gonna destroy my car. Can't make that up. Really can't.
This is a little off topic, but I'll make it quick. I used to drive this guy many years ago, and he was the number one certified motorcycle person in the country. And every year he held a course. People went to get certified on motorcycle safety. And short story, because I found out a couple years later that you know how the guy died on his motorcycle, and he hit a deer. So, and he was the master of motorcycle safety.
Interesting. Thank you, KR.
Yeah.
Have you noticed, Cryptid, any? I mean, I know I've been in the UFO community now for going on 6 months, and activities picked up. Have you noticed any activity increase with stories and reports of cryptids? Or is it?
Well, it was kind of weird. There was a handful of sightings in Ohio that were making some noise. Basically, right before the documentary dropped, and the documentary drops, and everybody doesn't stop talking about it, but they kind of, most of the attention went to that instead. But honestly, I have not gotten a kind of a lot of, or not really noticed a lot of cryptid activity in recent years. You get maybe an occasional like sea monster photo and a lot of like Bigfoot sightings, Bigfoot reports, but not much outside of that recently.
Now, a lot of the Bigfoot reports, are they normally around the same area as the dog man, or are they in different locations?
Well, as far as I can tell, when people report seeing the dog man, it's in the very pretty much everywhere. There's not really a location for it. Where uh, Bigfoot is seen pretty much every state, but it's kind of clustered on like the West Coast and in parts of like the Midwest, which would kind of make sense because that's where like the forests are. You like the big forests, untouched forests, whereas like the South doesn't quite have that, and there's kind of like relatively fewer sightings in that area or in those areas, besides Florida, of course, I should say.
Oh, there's sightings in Florida?
A lot of Bigfoot sightings in Florida. They got if you're a state with enough Bigfoot sightings, I've noticed that people often come up with like funny names for the Bigfoot sightings there. So Florida has the skunk ape or the swamp ape. Ohio has the Ohio grassman. Arizona has the Mogollon monster after the Mogollon Rim area. Stuff like that.
I think I heard that name before, the swamp ape in Florida. I didn't know that was actually Florida. Up on the East Coast, I've never heard anyone with a Bigfoot experience or story. Uh, but I'm in New Jersey, so got the Jersey Devil story.
Well, it's crazy you bring me up here, Mav. I've got a couple sightings of Bigfoot. A couple of my neighbors had seen the sighting of him a couple years back
Where?
up here in the mountains of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but I thought you were in Maryland, bro. And ex-girlfriends don't count. Go ahead, KR.
Yes, sir. I was privileged to watch a few ancient alien programs where they talked about the theory. I guess they call them Yeti. That's another word for Bigfoot. That they actually there were people that swore, sightings and interactions and visitations, and that they would disappear through cosmic gate type things and vanish. That they were interdimensional creatures. You know, there was a couple different productions put together. With a variety of people that had those experiences out in the woods at their cabin, but I can't speak to it personally.
Yeah, it's kind of in recent years it's become Bigfoot sightings sort of become more, maybe not connected, but there's more people reporting aliens or a lot of like paranormal stuff. I've unfortunately not seen those Ancient Alien episodes. It's been a long time since I caught that show. Unfortunately, there's always some cool stuff on there, crazy theories. But there was one theory I quite enjoyed. I was looking a while back. I was looking for theories about cryptids that were just kind of out there, so to speak. And I found one guy who thought, or I think it was, I believe it was a woman's book, where she wrote about a theory that Bigfoot wasn't an alien. It wasn't a flesh and blood creature, but it was like an alien drone that aliens put on Earth in order to watch us, because they needed something that could kind of blend in. So they put a bunch of Bigfoot drones on Earth to kind of walk around and keep an eye on us.
That's definitely interesting. I know there's some people that think the grays are almost drones, but then I've had guests on who've had experiences with them who are saying no, they're actual beings, lower level type beings. Well, there's a small gray and then a tall gray. Supposedly, the tall grays, there's like a hierarchy. The tall grays have control over the smaller grays, but they are individual. But yeah, it'd be interesting if it was like some type of AI or something, right? And designed to kind of match with what was living on the planet. That's definitely an interesting theory. We got Thunder up. Thunder's from Oklahoma. You got Bigfoot in Oklahoma, Thunder?
I don't know, man. If they did, it'd be called the Red Dirt Ranger or something. I don't know. Red Dirt Ape. But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anything crazy as much as I want to. I always want to see an alien. I always want to see a UFO. I always want to see something crazy. I think the craziest thing I've ever seen is like a green comet going across the whole sky. But I think not everybody's seen that, so I don't know. Other than that, man, I think when I was 4 years old, I took a bunch of mushrooms, and my mom said I was screaming at the sky, saying, "It's God! It's God!" I was staring at the sky, 4 years old. So that's not the craziest thing I've seen. But no apes here though.
Are you
What's the most interesting?
are you a Bigfoot expert?
No, not at all. I'm not even into it really because I've never seen it, and I'm not in an area that it's
I came
dominant.
up here trying to troll. I came up here about to trying to troll you, bro. But I thought you were some expert or something like that. But I guess not.
It's my good old boy Jamal there.
Not Thunder. Legendary. What have you been looking into recently that's really got your attention?
I mean, the Patterson Gimlin film thing is still such a crazy ongoing story that I'm continuously looking into. Kind of refreshing every day to see if there's more information coming out, or a lot of people wondering, well, if it's a hoax, how did they pull it off? Things like that. But I've also been looking into cryptids in the UK and Ireland. That's kind of my next project I'm working on.
What do they have out there? Leprechauns?
No, I've been looking at, because obviously there, a lot of folklore there, legends going back, centuries, even millennia, just because, we had writing out there for so long. But I've been reading about reports of even Bigfoot-like animals in the UK, which is a little bit out there. But one of the recent ones I read about was a guy riding his horse in I think northern England. When he turned around and this like monkey-like creature kind of jumps on his back and starts attacking him. So he had to fend it off with his whip that he had for his horses.
Wow, yeah, I've never. Well, I guess I'm not from the UK. I mean, I have some family from Ireland, off the boat. I've never any stories from them about any type of crypt or
When
anything
you
from
when
Ireland.
you speak of cryptid, you just referring to a Yeti type big Sasquatch or other paranormal
Yeah, like
or strange stories.
Coop.
Yeah, there's a lot of Bigfoot reports there. Not sure how much stock I can put in them because if you don't know, the forests of the UK were basically all cut down besides a handful. But there are also cryptids in the north, in the areas of Scotland, and one of the kind of the cooler ones is called the Earth Hound. It's apparently this think of like a badger but larger, uh, and I think like darker brown in color. And apparently, this one lives in graveyards, not as like a ghost or something like that. That's where it kind of likes to make its nests. And guys would used to be farming when they'd hit something big underground. And all of a sudden, this giant badger came out and started attacking one of the guys farming. And he said it was able to bite through his kind of tough old leather boot like it was nothing, and he had to hit it with his was it like a toiler in order to get it off of him. So I thought that's like a pretty cool legend for such a kind of a weird little creature up there.
Are you familiar with the expedition like in Russia where there was a large group of people that went out and they were pretty experienced and they were attacked in the night um, and mutilated um, and they under strange circumstances. The holes cut through the tent and trails of blood and whatnot, as well as the cattle mutilations in America, where they find cattle that have been certain organs removed and all the blood drained out, yet there's no blood in the area. So it's done like surgically, as though it was a UFO or some kind of machine. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I think the first one's the Dialtov Pass story, which is still a classic, I think, just because it's unsolved. But I think that occurred in Eastern Russia. And I actually was able to talk to somebody from Eastern Russia. And according to her, she says that, the rumor going on in that area was that they actually just pissed off some people locally really bad. And they were kind of attacked in the night and murdered. And the reason, there's like cuts on the tent was them trying to get out as they're being attacked. But it also reminds me of, speaking of Bigfoot, there was a Soviet geologist named Vladimir Pushkarev who kind of got an interest into Bigfoot at some point. Now, Pushkarev had gone on like expeditions with other people before, but for whatever reason, I believe sometime in the 1970s, he wanted to go on a solo expedition, kind of right in the middle of Siberia. So he went down there to look for Bigfoot, kind of follow some local reports, and nobody ever saw him again.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. I think I remember. I think there was like a film or something about what KR was talking about, and yeah, I think part of it was they thought it was the indigenous people that were up on the mountain there, um, because they were obnoxious and talking down to them, and they were telling them it wasn't a good time of year to go up there. It was dangerous, and they're like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about." But then they put like some, that could have been a cryptid or it could have been some type of demonic thing. Yeah, it was kind of all over the place on the theories of what happened to those individuals, if I remember correctly. I know Miss A has a question for you.
Hey Mav, what's up guys?
Go.
So hello legendary cryptids. Um I was wondering, hypothetically speaking, not trying to get canceled here. Anyway, the Nazca and the Atacama mummies, would they be considered cryptids since they appear to have come from the earth? Let's say they're real, right? Which it's debatable, I don't know. But would they be considered cryptids?
Yeah, those are the. Are they said to have come
The
from the Earth? I'm actually not
Yeah,
that
the
familiar.
tridactyls. Yeah, they're digging them up. They were apparently they're desiccated bodies. So they weren't buried. They were like placed, I guess, ritualistically in I don't know the name of the mineral or whatever, but it desiccates the body and it keeps everything intact. And they've done all kinds of scans with these things, and it's hotly debated, and now it's kind of devolved into basically people saying that it's debunked because American scientists aren't the ones doing, the examining and the testing of it. So now it's become a race issue. Go figure. But I don't know, like it's pretty compelling the CT scans and all the imaging that they've done, and everybody's calling them aliens, but I'm like, they were buried here and it appears like they were here, right? So that would mean that I was just wondering, like, would you consider those cryptids? But I also have
Did
another question.
did they
It,
also have red hair and they were buried in a very arid
No, these
climate?
are tiny. No, these are tiny little beings. They're not giants with six fingers and and that kind of stuff. No, they're tiny. Well, most of them are tiny. Some of them are a little larger. I don't think I don't follow it too much, but I don't think there's any that have been found to be like the size of an average human. Relatively smaller, but yeah. But it's wild. Like some of them have appear to have eggs inside of them still. But also what I found really strange was that they seem to have these alloy metal implants like on their chest. Um, so I thought that was interesting. But anyway, that's yeah. I was wondering if you would consider those cryptids. But I have another question after that.
yeah, I guess if it evolved on Earth, I actually didn't know that they were considered that. I've kind of heard in recent years alien theories that aliens aren't really aliens. Or they're they're like from Earth, so they're not aliens in the classic sense of alien being other. But I did think that was kind of an interesting direction for discussion on UFOs and aliens to go, is that maybe they're here this whole time, they have like underwater civilization, something like that, they're from a parallel Earth. I haven't read too into it though, because I don't know, I'm a little bit jaded on aliens too.
You have alien fatigue, UFO fatigue, but I think these would be considered more of like inner earth beings, not necessarily like anyway. But I wanted to ask about Skinwalker Ranch and the Dino Beaver and the Bigfoots coming out of portals and stuff like that. And I can't not bring up, oh gosh, what's the prophet's name himself? Oh, Bledsoe, yeah. So apparently he had a dream, and he dreamt that there were a bunch of Bigfoot like creatures, I believe, on Mars, and that uh there was some kind of like catastrophe or apocalypse. I'm probably butchering this, but it's pretty, it's close. But there was some kind of like big apocalypse or whatever where everyone on the planet was going to die and their souls were snatched up and rehomed, so to speak. So they wouldn't carry like some kind of like trauma or whatever. But there's Doomer. Doomer, come up and save me. Um have you heard of that?
I have not heard of that, but it does remind me of a story I'll also probably butcher. But if anybody's familiar with Coast to Coast, um, there was a kind of a guy who started coming on there in the 90s who claimed that he had like a bottomless pit at his house. Like he'd throw things into it, it's just gone. And he was like a repeat guest because I guess whoever ran the show back
Mel's
then, George.
Hole.
Yeah, Mel's Hole. And I think he was also saying that like he'd start seeing like weird, bizarre animals come out of the
A
hole or
seal,
appear
a baby
next.
seal.
Yeah, or appear next to the hole. But yeah, I was not as familiar about that one as you are, I guess. But I always thought that was kind of a cool story, kind of on the edge of cryptids and paranormal phenomena,
The
which is not.
Southwest Indians have legends of the ant people, which took them underground to protect them. Have you heard of that?
And I have
Yeah,
actually not heard of that legend.
yeah, that's an Indian legend. Yeah, about the ant people that took them and protected them underground until it was safe to come back. Oh,
Yeah, I think that's part of the Hopi prophecy. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
They would.
actually did not know about that one.
Yeah, I think it's the Hopi prophecy that they come back every so many thousand years, and they underground. So there's some type of catastrophe where they were safe underground, and they would bring them down. They actually, if you look at images, it's very similar to like what you would see with like a gray alien, I would say, or maybe like a mantis or something like that. But they live underground, and then or they I can't remember the prophecy off the top of my head. I'm probably butchering it, but they come back every so often, and there was drawings, I think, in New Mexico
Of those,
of these.
yeah, I'm kind of taking a look now.
can confirm on that. Also, there's I guess I don't know, for lack of a better term, air vents where they would hear moaning and different noises coming up from underneath the ground. Um, you know, that were pretty scary. Uh,
Yeah,
from these
out
creatures.
there, there's
Yes,
underground
yeah,
caves.
air vents and stuff. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't. Only story that reminds me of is that the story of actually I might have seen this on like History Channel or something where the Soviet geologists are drilling and they end up drilling into hell or something like that, and a demon comes up to say hi to him. Not say hi to him, but scream at him.
Yeah, I think it was it called the Sounds of Hell coming from
Oh,
the.
it sounds of hell.
It just sounds like really creepy, like screaming and groans and moaning, and I think there's a YouTube video of that. Really creepy.
Yeah, there's an ancient alien documentary on that. How about in Siberia when they found those metal discs buried beneath the surface, and that they would uh, rise above the surface and shoot projectiles uh, to block asteroids or whatever it was that was incoming. And they found numerous sites of these metallic kind of like launchers that come out of the ground. Have you heard of that one?
That sounds like a SG1 episode.
I have not heard of that one.
Also, the Y files. I watch a lot of Y files. That's the only reason why I can like touch on some of this stuff, and not go too deep though, because the Y files doesn't do all that. But yeah, the Y files is a treasure trove for all things fringe and to it's up for debate. Take it or leave it, but Y files for sure.
Legendary. You remember you're talking about Ireland. I just thought about this. I think I've seen something on the History Channel. They found like these small little beings, and they said they were either fairies or pixies in Ireland.
I see. That I have not heard about that one. I know every now and then you get like people finding fairies or something like that, but usually I think they're just local things people do for fun, local folklore, stuff like that. On the other end of size, though, one of the interesting Irish cryptids, I don't know if people have heard of this, the Dobhar Chew, which is like kind of a giant otter thing. I don't know if people have heard of that one, but there is actually an alleged photograph of one floating around out there. I know one of the other people on YouTube, I think the Cryptozoology Review or something on that, like that, did a episode discussing that photograph. And the kind of the history of that cryptid's pretty interesting because Ireland and the UK kind of got rid of all their big predators, at least on land, quite a while ago. But then for some centuries, there were occasional reports of this Dobhar Chew, which means, I think, something like King of the Otters. But it's said to be this giant otter that is carnivorous. And there's even a gravestone somewhere out there to this day that you can track down where a woman was at the river washing clothes because, it was like the 1700s. They didn't have washing machines back then. And the Dobhar Chew grabbed her from the water and ended up like partially eating her. So then I think her husband had to go avenge her and kill that one. But it is a very, very interesting legend out there. If there were like more sightings of it, I guess I think I could believe in it a bit more. But it's only like occasionally reported, as far as I can find.
There is a legend of a giant-sized wolf that was killing people. I'm not sure if it was in France or somewhere in Europe, and it happened so frequently that they went out with hunting parties, and they to kill this big black carnivorous overgrown wolf type creature. I don't recall the name, but I think you said the name, but it wasn't.
Beast of Gavaldon?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it is documented with pictures, and it was a situation to where they had to, lack of a better term, form a posse and go out and hunt it, and took several men to kill it. And I guess there were a few of them.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because for a while I had heard about, the Beast of Gavaldon and like the whole spree of it attacking people. But somewhat recently I was reading, I like assumed it was like a one-off thing. So either, it was like a real wolf combined with some hysteria. Maybe it was an exotic animal that got out and was attacking people. Something like that. But I recently found that this was considered part of like a phenomena in Europe called the alien big dogs, where in various parts of Europe, England, places like that, there are occasional reports of giant dogs and giant wolves either attacking people or eating a bunch of livestock in areas where wolves are considered extinct, or at least extinct in that specific area. So I thought that was kind of interesting in terms of there being, more than one report of that. Although, as far as I know, none of the other ones had like a massive kill count like the Beast of Gavaldon has.
Wasn't that similar all through Europe, even like in Greece mythology? Giant wolves?
Oh yeah, I mean, giant wolves are like a huge thing in a lot of mythologies. I think the interesting thing is that the wolf attacks are in pretty recent recorded history, like 1700s, 1800s, even occasionally in the 1900s as well.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Anyone else have a question for legendary cryptid? I mean, he's always got tons of information on any single subject, as you all can tell. You bring up a creature, and he's got details on it. Goose?
I was just wanting to know how Bigfoot got everywhere because it's not like we see him hitchhiking. It's not like we see him traveling and hitting the roads, right? So he has to be able to do something along those lines, right?
Yeah, the whole. So I've said this before. I'm a little bit skeptical on, I guess, most Bigfoot types, because if you've kind of looked into it, you'll know that there's Bigfoot sightings in America. There are various somewhat Bigfoot-like creatures in South America. There's, of course, like the Yeti in Asia, uh, the Yeren in China, the Yowie in Australia. And I do think that that's one of the reasons I'm a little bit skeptical of certain types, I would say, is that they're said to be located over such a huge area, which means, like you said, they are getting around. However, they're not, being hit by like a car or something like that. Whereas other certain types of wild men are kind of either more localized or like they stay in one place, or they're mostly reported in areas without like heavy human populations or cars, like wild, like the very forested areas or mountainous regions or things like that, where you wouldn't necessarily expect them to get hit by a car or something.
I got one more for you, and I don't know if you already answered this. Um, do do you know of anything that for sure lives in the, or well, I guess not for sure, right? But in the Appalachian Mountains?
In terms of cryptids, I don't know if there's many in the continental United States, like on land that I would say I'm for sure once existed. However, the ones kind of in that nature that do make me think are the Appalachian freshwater octopuses. I don't know if you've heard of that, but in like the 1930s, 1940s through the 1960s, occasionally people would either catch or see octopuses in like freshwater rivers and lakes and things of that nature, which is really bizarre because octopus biology makes it basically impossible for the octopus to survive in fresh water very long. Like its whole osmosis system to keep water out kind of breaks down. So if there were octopuses, in these waterways, they'd have to be just extremely bizarre biologically.
How
Uh,
about the document? Excuse me. The documentation of the back in ancient times when they sailed across the ocean in boats and they were attacked by giant krakens, and there's illustrations of that. And another thing, what are your thoughts on there being pyramids on each continent? Like China hides their pyramids, but there's pyramids that have been erected in every continent and using a similar building structure or architecture.
yeah, I've heard a little bit about the pyramid things. I've seen two frames of thought on that. One is that building a pyramid is obviously not easy, but it seems like a more efficient way of stacking blocks up. If that makes sense. So it's possible for humans to have independently discovered that, hey, if you build something in a pyramid shape, it can support itself. On the other hand, I've also heard that certain pyramids are sort of lined up with astrological phenomena. Like pyramids would be pointed to various like stars or in various directions, despite being on different continents. However, I did hear this from an episode of Ancient Aliens quite a while back, so I can't really speak on if that's true or not. But as for the Kraken, I do really wonder about if there is another species of giant octopus or giant squid still out there to be discovered. Because I believe I've read that some of the Kraken reports described more of like an octopus-like animal than like a giant squid. So it does kind of make me wonder if there's something out there still. One of the interesting things about the giant octopus is that octopuses in the Atlantic Ocean, which is, where the Kraken supposedly lives. It was sighted, like you said, kind of like northern Atlantic from people coming over. There's really not that many like large octopuses compared to the Pacific Ocean. So whenever, like I read sightings of in the Bahamas, deadly man-eating octopuses attacking divers in the Blue Holes area. It's pretty interesting because I think the biggest octopus down there is even shorter than like a human diver. So for people to be seeing ones that can supposedly attack ships or eat people is pretty crazy.
Chuck and Nate doing though? Holy freaking smokes! I feel like I haven't heard from you guys in like 12 hours.
Yeah, no, KR, you mentioned octopus, you mentioned squid, but you also had
Man, I'm
horseshoe
doing
crabs,
wonderfully well.
and they're
Giga
rare
Johnny,
because they have blue
absolutely
blood,
cooking, and hopefully
copper-based
everybody's doing
blood.
the same. And right before I kick
That's
it to
why
Nate, look at
they're
the
like alien.
dog up top.
But
Holy
it also
shit.
helps them
Yeah,
in
what a
cold water
clean one, man.
and
That Jester John's not really. Wait,
the
is that
deep
Jester?
ocean from the pressure.
Yeah, that Jester John's not really seen too much, eh?
Jester bone.
Yeah, I believe that ties into the. I'm no expert.
What's up, Nate?
The transpermia, is that a correct name? How
Yo,
the
Nate, you came
the
off pop
planet
there,
was
bro.
seeded by
What do you got
asteroids,
going on, Pop?
and within these asteroids were
No
the
way, bro. You can't edge me
genetics
like that, bro.
or
Hit it with a Ric Flair.
chemical
He
compounds
came off me. He was
which
like,
enabled
Oh,
these
shit.
different
Nate.
animals and creatures to
Oh
evolve
my god.
in our planet.
I was so
Net
ready
it.
for that.
Net it, Nate.
That's all right. You know, Nate, you
Net
might
it.
just got to take the
That's
old
definitely
Latin
something that
Natty Nate.
scientists believe is possible,
and
especially
Natty Nate's
since
not tonight. Yep, Nate the
all
Clan
the gold
co-host.
on Earth
Yo,
is
did y'all
from,
hear about the new
I think,
yeah, you know what
supernovas
I'm saying, with the damn Claude
and
operating your
stars.
whole Mac system? You
Yeah,
hear about that?
yeah.
So they got here somehow, all
Yeah,
the gold.
yeah. Isn't
Yo,
that
so
funny?
now all
But
this shit that I'm
Legendary
building is
Cryptid,
obsolete.
thank you so much
But
for
it's
I was
joining
gonna
us
say,
again
ain't
here
that
tonight.
amazing?
Yeah, thank you.
Well, no, it's not. I did all my research. I did some
Love listening
investigating,
to
and
all the
although it
information
does
you
seem
deep
like,
dives in with all these
shit,
different
we
creatures
kind of
and
lost,
things.
missed the bus there.
I'm
But
very interested.
the deal is,
Really appreciate you
it's integratable.
last
It
minute
is the
jumping
deal
into
to where
space
you
with us
use
tonight.
both. There is
I
a
only
proper
spoke
avenue
with
of
the
using
Legendary
both, and
Cryptid 2 days
holy
ago, so
shit,
big
it is
shout
pretty
out
cool.
to him for being with us.
Bro,
Definitely give him
I'm
a follow.
excited
He's
to
always
put that to
posting
use.
updates
Don't
on
worry,
cryptids
look,
from around the
in
world
just a
and what's
little
going
while,
on.
right? I
That's
will
what kind
have
of
it
broke
set
my
up
heart a
to
little bit
where
when they said
you,
Bigfoot's
Nate,
not real.
and me
But
to
we
be
don't
in
know
the
for
chat,
sure.
and both of you
Hey,
can use
one
my
big
body
like I
for
said, I
whatever you want.
got
You
a
can use
couple
the,
projects about various
various agents that I have in there.
Bigfoots,
They all
so to
have jobs and
speak. So keep an
personalities, and
eye
you can
out.
speak with them and jazz it up with them.
Africa
And, there's even a
might be an
damn
area where there's
low
a
budget
hairy
travel
man.
agent in there that'll
That's all
pick
I'll
out some
say
cool
for
shit
now.
for you. So,
Oh, is that new?
type building.
It's
Nate,
one of the things I'm I guess the projects in there is that there's been actually a lot of
good. I'm
reports
down,
kind
dude.
of all
Let's go.
over from locals
Yo, what's up,
seeing
gentlemen?
these
Sorry, another audio
giant
mishap,
6,
but you know
7
what?
foot
We just keep rolling.
Bigfoot-like
We keep
You know
animals.
rolling.
what we
So
do
yeah,
is just we keep
I'm
it
still
pushing.
researching it
Oh
though,
wait,
so it
holy
might
shit! I just
take me a
muted him
while.
by
But
accident. Nate, yeah, you
that's
can
one of my
mute me, man.
projects here.
Damn.
God damn.
Awesome.
I'm
Thanks
just
again
saying.
for
Is that the
joining us here
first time
tonight.
it's ever
Really
happened, bro?
appreciate
I
it.
just did it on purpose.
Everybody
That's
pinned
my
up
bad.
top. I pinned up
That's
2
my bad. I'm not
spaces.
gonna
I
fuck with
pinned
you
up
no more.
Scat
Promise,
space. I
promise,
pinned
promise.
up Mellow space.
Come
Yeah,
off
I
mute.
That's what we'll be
Come
rolling
off mute.
into next.
Come on, man.
And also up top is a tight media schedule.
Damn.
I promise.
Playing
Runs
games
is
tonight,
24
aren't
hours
we?
a day, 7 days a week.
Playing
You can't
games
find a
Have you
space
seen
you're
that
not
like
looking at the
notification?
schedule.
Like you've been
And we
muted
also
or
have
some shit like
the
that?
Crypto
Yeah,
Spaces
yeah,
Network
you've been muted by host.
24/7,
Mhm.
7 days a
Is that your
week.
first time seeing that, John?
Same thing. If you can't find a space that
Nah.
interests you,
No,
you're
you've
not
been muted
you're
by
not
host.
looking at
I've
that
seen it
schedule
before.
because
I,
there's
Didn't you
all
say you
kinds
I
of
got
think
topics,
Game
somebody?
muted me one
24 hours a
time, and I
day,
was like talking
and
for
you
like
can
5
definitely
minutes.
find one that suits you. So thank you everybody for being with
But
us
yeah, we're
tonight.
just John and brother.
And
I'm
yo,
here with the
Pop,
kids. Mom's
anything?
out doing some kind of work gigs. So I had 3 girls here earlier, and
Pop says he's got
I'm
nothing.
worn out, man.
Goose, you want to tell us about your space tomorrow?
you're all worn out. Now you're just getting
I'm
mellow. Yeah.
running. Yo, what's up,
Yeah,
guys?
hell yeah,
Prototype
hell
3 p.m.
Nah,
tomorrow.
I
We
was gonna
are
tell
gonna
you. I
go
don't know if
over.
Chuck told you, but
We're gonna for sure go over
V-Space
some
this morning. Another
some
big
AI
shout
stuff,
out to
man.
you,
This
man.
stuff going
Yeah,
on around the
we
world,
did.
man, is getting pretty
He wasn't even
it's
in
getting
here
pretty
yesterday.
lame, dude. These guys are just
No, she was
talking
just still
out
glazing it up
their
because
butt cracks, right?
just
So
the way
let's
that
get in there. Let's go build
you
something
know, the
cool,
way
man.
that
Who
we
wants to build
johned
a
it up and
robot to
everything
make
else. I got on
millions and
stage with
millions
it
and
this
millions
morning,
of
and
dollars?
my ride to work I usually do, and she asked us about the
That's right, you heard
origins
it
and
from
everything,
here.
and I just gave
And
the
Goose
spiel
is
about how
working
we
on a
all just
prototype.
fumbled and bumbled throughout the mornings
Guy
and
and
into
I
the
are gonna be
afternoons, you know.
slowly leaking that
Yeah, that's a
information
fact.
out to
That's
you
a
all. You
fact.
could
We
definitely
drawn
want to
all
be part of
day.
that.
Start at 6
Guy, are you
a.m.
there?
You know, with the heavy jawnage, and then we ease it out throughout the day. You know.
Yo,
Easy
listen.
peasy.
And speaking of being here throughout the day, I just had a
Nope, can't hear you, Guy.
knockdown,
All
drag
right,
out
everybody.
battle
Thank you for joining us tonight.
royale.
But
I'm
guess what?
talking
Guess
like
what today
just
is?
about to wipe this sucker
Taco
clean and kill the
Tuesday.
spot.
So we got Taco
Right, you
Tuesday
threatened
song.
it, right?
Everybody go up
And
there.
then we worked through
Max
some
engaged
stuff
with
and
those posts.
everything
I also
else. So
put
we
one up
just
there. Have you
we just made up.
seen
Okay, this is what
something that
this
is
is what the bot wrote.
unexplainable?
Bruh.
It said
Jump
we're
in there. Let
good.
me know.
Friction
It's
just
amazing
means we're
how
doing
majority
work
of the
that
people have
matters.
said yes. They've seen things they
If you
can't
caught the glitch,
explain.
I fixed the pipe.
Very, very interesting.
And the
I'd like to
system
get
is
everyone
tighter
else's
than it was an
opinion.
hour
So go up
ago.
there, Max engaged.
That's what
All those
progress
pins
looks
up
like.
top. We're gonna go out with some Taco.
Just don't waste energy on the misfires. Save it for the build. I'm here dialed in and ready for
We
the next
talking
scenario.
tacos tonight. Yeah. I walk in the spotlight, what I'm gonna choose. She looking crispy, or the soft of the juice. Got carne asada, got pollo too. Got abuela in the bag, say I make it for you. Lime on the side, little squeeze, real nice. Cilantro dancing like it got good advice. Onion so fresh, make you cry just right. But you still go back for another bite. Some like 'em hard, crunch, crunch, crunch. Some like 'em soft, munch, munch, munch. Some like 'em spicy, make you say adios. But we all love tacos, everybody know. Some like beef, some like beans. Some like sauce that'll melt your dreams. From the street cart to the fancy spot, one thing we agree, tacos hit the spot. Got that salsa verde, got that roja flame. One bite too much, now you're sweating like a game. But you don't stop, no you never do. Got tortilla in your hand like it's meant for you. Guac extra, yeah, I'll pay the fee. Worth every dollar, bring that green to me. Cheese drip down like a waterfall. Take one bite, now you want them all. Heart shall crack like boom in your ear. Soft shell full like come here, my dear. Spicy got you like woo. Too hot, but you still go back. Why? I forgot. Some like 'em hard, crunch, crunch, crunch. Some like 'em soft, munch, munch, munch. Some like 'em spicy, make you say adios. But we all love tacos, everybody know. So raise up your taco, don't matter the style. From Jersey to Mexico, we vibing a while. Hard, soft, spicy, it's all the same. If you love tacos, you part of the game. Ay, ay, ay.